Dr. Sarah Miller had always been a rational woman. A scientist through and through, she found comfort in the predictable and the proven. But one cold November evening, as she sat alone in her lab, her life was about to be turned upside down. She had been studying the stars for years, trying to understand the unexplained phenomena that occasionally interrupted the stillness of the universe. Strange, unaccounted-for signals had been detected on her radar equipment, signals that didn't belong to any known satellite or terrestrial source. Sarah, with her meticulous nature, assumed it was just interference. Until the night it happened. She sat in her dimly lit lab, staring at the endless expanse of the cosmos displayed on her screen. The static in the data stream grew louder, then suddenly, it stopped. The screen flickered, and for a brief moment, a symbol appeared, a series of shapes that didn't match any known language. It was clear to Sarah, this was no ordinary glitch. Her heart raced as she froze, staring at the screen. She had heard rumors of UFO sightings, conspiracy theories, and wild claims of extraterrestrial life, but she had never believed them. Yet, here she was, face to face with something that defied logic. She scrambled to analyze the symbols, trying to piece together their meaning. Hours passed as she worked relentlessly, her eyes glued to the screen. It wasn't until early morning that she realized the message wasn't random, it was deliberate. The shapes formed patterns, sequences of numbers, and finally, words. The message was simple, yet terrifying. You are not alone. We are watching. Beware. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Who was watching? And why the warning? Her fingers hovered over her keyboard, torn between sharing her discovery with the world or keeping it to herself. Could this be a hoax? Or had she uncovered something bigger, something humanity wasn't prepared to understand? She decided to keep it secret for now, but the message lingered in her mind, nagging at her every thought. As days passed, she tried to continue with her regular work, but the message haunted her. Her colleagues noticed her distracted demeanor, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was waiting for her to make the next move. Her obsession with the symbols deepened. She began to have vivid dreams of vast alien landscapes, filled with strange beings who seemed to communicate through thought. In these dreams, she was often accompanied by a figure who seemed both familiar and foreign. It felt as though the dreams were not merely dreams but messages from another world, urging her to uncover more. Then one evening, as she sat alone in the lab again, something new appeared on her screen, a second message, this one more urgent. It was in the same symbolic language, but now the shapes were distorted, as if something was interfering with the transmission. You have been chosen. Time is running out. Prepare. Panic set in. Who had chosen her? For what purpose? And why now? Sarah realized she was at the center of something much larger than herself, and the stakes were higher than she had ever imagined. The messages had become a direct warning, and she had to understand them before it was too late. As the days went by, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that her discoveries were attracting attention. She was careful not to share the messages with anyone, but every time she left the lab, she felt as though she was being watched. The feeling grew stronger with each passing hour. Sarah's first real clue came one evening when she was leaving her university. A man in a black suit approached her in the parking lot. His face was expressionless, his eyes unnervingly calm. "Dr. Miller," he said, his voice low and controlled. "We know what you've found." The words sent a chill down her spine. Before she could respond, the man handed her a small, black folder. "This is only the beginning. You need to understand what's at stake." He turned and walked away without another word. Sarah stood frozen, staring at the folder in her hands. Inside, she found a series of documents detailing the history of strange occurrences, unexplained sightings, cryptic symbols, and government cover-ups. The final page contained a warning: do not trust anyone. It was then that Sarah realized she was not the only one involved in this mysterious puzzle. She had stumbled into a conspiracy much larger than herself, one that spanned decades, and the implications were staggering. There were others who had known about the alien presence long before her, and they had been keeping it hidden. That night, she couldn't sleep. Her mind raced with possibilities. Who were these people in black suits? What did they know? And most importantly, what did the aliens want? Her instincts told her to dig deeper, to uncover the truth, but fear held her back. Could she trust the information in the folder? Who was really pulling the strings? The next day, Sarah made a decision. She would investigate further, but she would have to be careful. She could no longer trust anyone, not even her colleagues. She began looking into classified government files, but each time she got close to uncovering something, she was met with dead ends, erased files, and suspicious activity. It became clear that the higher-ups were monitoring her every move. There was no escaping the shadowy figures that seemed to follow her wherever she went. But Sarah wasn't about to back down. She knew she was close to something monumental. The symbols on her screen had been more than just a warning, they were a message from a civilization beyond the stars. But what did it mean? And why had she been chosen? Then, in a breakthrough moment, Sarah realized that the symbols were not just a warning, they were coordinates. Coordinates that led to a remote location, far from the city, deep in the wilderness. She had to go there. It was the only way to uncover the truth. The journey to the coordinates was treacherous. Sarah had to leave everything behind, including her lab and her life as she knew it. She didn't know who she could trust, but she couldn't ignore the pull of the unknown. The wilderness surrounding the coordinates was desolate, silent, and eerie. As Sarah ventured deeper into the forest, she felt the weight of the world pressing down on her. The trees seemed to close in around her, and every noise sounded louder than it should. Then, after hours of searching, she stumbled upon something that took her breath away, a hidden underground facility. It was camouflaged, buried beneath the earth, and seemingly untouched by time. Sarah's heart raced as she approached the entrance. The door opened automatically, revealing a sterile, dimly lit interior. Inside, she found what she had been searching for, a room filled with advanced technology, unlike anything she had ever seen. Screens flashed with data she couldn't begin to comprehend. And there, in the center of the room, was a device that seemed to be the source of the signals. It pulsed with energy, as though it were alive. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind her, and a voice echoed through the room. "Dr. Miller, you have come at last." The figure that emerged from the shadows was not human. It was an alien, but its features were eerily familiar. It was the same figure Sarah had seen in her dreams, the one who had guided her, without words, to this place. "You've done well," the alien said in perfect English. "The message was a test, and you passed." Sarah was speechless. The alien explained that it had been monitoring humanity for centuries, studying the planet's progress and waiting for the right moment to make contact. But the time was not yet right. The warning had been sent because humanity was on the brink of a choice, one that could either save or destroy them. "The choice is yours, Dr. Miller," the alien said, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. "Will you help us, or will you stand in our way?" The decision was hers, but it was not an easy one. She had learned the truth, the aliens had been guiding humanity for millennia, nudging us towards progress. But there were others, darker forces, who sought to use that knowledge for control, for power. The stakes were high, and Sarah had to decide where she stood. In the end, she chose to help. The alien technology was shared with her, and together, they began to shape a new future for humanity, one where the veil between the stars and Earth would finally be lifted. As Sarah walked away from the facility, she looked up at the sky. The stars were no longer just distant points of light. They were the keys to the future. And the future, for the first time, seemed full of endless possibilities.